Hello, welcome back. I think I'll try and continue, hopefully finish the wing tufts today. And these are a little tricky. They have different shapes. They have some gaps in them. They don't fit perfect. And I think I mentioned before, Aerosports makes one that people have been ranting and raving about. I'm gonna try and get these to fit. Part of the problem is that this sits high because of the 3/16 of the windshield. It's actually a little thicker on that side. So I'm gonna try and put like a little spacer that mates this to that, just so kind of mimics that as it comes down, and we'll see where that ends up. I also found these little plugs that not only fit perfect on top of the nuts, the bolt heads, but they also snap into a 3/4 inch hole. So no, it doesn't go there. Maybe I can make use of those somehow to help clean it up and seal it, but that's finishing touches. For now, I'm gonna try and get these to fit. I'm going to start by putting a straight line across there so I have a reference between the end of this strip and that strip, so I don't see the forest for the trees and end up being crooked up there. Alright, there's my straight reference line. While I was at it, I put kind of a guide of where they want to sit, you know, naturally. So like I said, we do have this little gap here. I also kind of just put a parallel line with that. I don't want to cut it straight because this arch in here is significantly stronger than the arch over there, so I'm going to try and find a compromise. But I think I'm going to make a strip similar to that nylon strip and kind of just fill this in, see if I can get it to sit where I want it to sit. Alright, I think that's going to work out pretty well. So basically 1/2 inch strip on the side. This is looks like 1/8 inch plastic, easy to cut, easy to bend. I'm going to glue that on here. It technically requires a little bit more, but I don't want to build it up too much and have all this air gap underneath here. You know, we need area for the glue to hold it down. So this is where it meets up with the wing root gap seal. There we go. So I'm probably gonna cut it off there, glue these together, and then we'll see how it fits. I also made a little note. This is kind of where the Z strip from the windshield thing folds in, and it rubs just a little bit. I suppose I could sand the back, but while I have it out, I'm just gonna take a socket and see if I can massage that plastic out a little bit along those lines. Good thing it's out the middle of winter. This stuff would be cracking. And then these strips, obviously I kind of pre-bend them into shape with, I don't know, anything round you have available. So kind of just eyeball it. Need a little bit more there. This happens to work good. You can also use a socket. Sockets come in all different sizes. I don't know, I like this better. There you go, it's getting there. A little bit of back and forth. My original thought was just to glue these into here on the bench, but then I had an idea of you actually probably want to have them contour to the wing. So kind of made a line of where I want them to sit, and then I made this as a reference point, basically just drilled it out so it sits over that rivet, kind of helps line it up and lock it in. And now I'm going to put those on, and tack them with some CA glue, and then if I like the fit, I'll glue them. Alright, I really like the way it fits. It actually helps with this gap in here too, but that may have been the massaging I did with the thing there. But see how, and I thought this might happen, so obviously this is much thinner. I think I'm going to taper this down quite a bit, but I think I'm going to do that before I glue it. So yeah, that's 1/8 inch. I'm going to bring that down to maybe from the rivet on down. I'm just going to sand it. That ended up giving me a nice taper, so it goes from the 1/8 inch all the way down to pretty flat. I think that should wrap around the leading edge nicely, and then made up with that wing gap seal. Let's see if it works. All right, check that out. Just what the doctor ordered. So flush up there. Obviously, once we glue it on, then I think there's a screw that goes right in here, so that'll hold all of that in. And I like that. I like that. This fits nice. Real happy with that. I think I'm on the right track. Alright, so I got them strapped in, kind of where I picture them being strapped when I glue them. Got my sockets lined up. Got the top spacing, bottom spacing all good. And then what I do is I just use a very thin CA glue, and I put it on a little sacrificial piece, and then I use these micro applicators. You can get these on Amazon. They use for touch-up paint, and that way you have a very, like that wicks right into that when they're fresh, and then you can just dab it onto here and it will wick into the plastic. So I kind of just went along the outside edge. Obviously I can still sand it and round it over and finish it, and in a few minutes or seconds, probably already dry, you can take it apart, and then I'll glue it from the back side as well, and that'll give me the thing in position. So it's kind of like tack welding. Like if I had to break this off, I could. Alright, so got those glued. You can see the little step in there. Looks like the bottom of this lines up with the same seam where the wing skin is, so that's kind of a nice touch. These are about 1/2 inch in on the wing root gap seal thingy. So I'm gonna go 1/2 inch in, 1/2 inch in, and I think that will tighten that up nicely. And once these are glued, that's pretty good. I know this is petty, but I was literally had a little off on this side, so actually I don't know if you can tell, but I added a 1/16 onto it. Yeah, you can kind of see here. So basically just glued a 1/16 onto it. So now both sides line up perfectly with the wing root gap seal, and the top up here, rounded that over. And I think I'm gonna drill a hole here. I've seen other people do. It's gonna go right into the spar, and then put a nutsert in there, and probably just a matching screw. All right, kind of switching gears here. So I drilled a hole. That's all fine and good. And then if you remember, there's a little bit of a gap kind of between the screws here. So I ran the edge forming tool. Like, again, this comes out from the factory. It kind of fades into nothing here. So kind of tried to just blend it to maybe minimize that gap. But in the back, two things. So I have to trim a ½ inch off just to make it flush. And I also made these little, what do you call it? I don't know, little piece of angle iron, angle aluminum. And the idea of this is 5/16 out. The tube is ½ inch, so this should just rest right on top of the tube to put this line right on the center line of the tube, you know, front to back. But if you recall, if you push on this, like, it could push down, and it is accessible from the inside. So I just made these, and I'm going to rivet them in, and hopefully that'll solidify the Jiju. All right, all done. Riveted in, ½ inch cut off, edge formed, drilled a big hole. I'll actually tap the spar for now just to see if I can bolt it in. Let's see if all my cockamamie ideas here work. Alright, I would jot this little bracket off is a good idea. Makes it rock solid back here, and keeps it from flopping down. So this gap, or whatever, this line is halfway on that tube. I also would say putting edge forming that was a good idea, because pretty much all of the gaps are gone, a little bit there. And this here, you know, I just have a strap on it right now, but once you put a little fillet in there, I think that's as good as it's gonna get. This is pretty tight. I don't have the strap on here now, but kind of sits where it is supposed to. Pretty straight going across there. I have a little gap here. We'll call that an expansion gap. We'll fill that with silicone. I have the same size on that side. So here, I might try to massage this a little more. Looks like it's a little hard here and coming down. I could tighten the strap, and again, silicone will fill it in. So this is right now just tapped into the spar. I might put a nut plate in there. Not a nut plate, but a thread cert, something like that. I'm not really sure. And this bubbles up a little bit, but I guess once I glue it down, I can put some extra tension on it. So real happy with that. Got those to line up, got those to line up, these line up this way. Same thing, gaps gone in here with the edge forming, and this worked out perfect. So nice and tight in there. So this radius from the factory is much bigger than on the other side, and I know you can see inside here. So I think once it's all said and done, probably put some tape on there and then just fill that with silicone. But yeah, I want to say that these things are done. I trimmed this just kind of parallel to that. Thought that looked pretty decent. Gotta go a little bit more on this side, but overall really happy with it. And what's the takeaway? Yeah, you need to put a filler in here. I suppose you can just squeeze it down or fill it with silicone if you want, but I chose to make it complicated like I usually do. But it does kind of match, you know, the factory piece in there, so should be good. Next step will be, I guess these tape lines are pretty good, so I'll probably mask it from the inside, and I will probably keep that 1/4 inch or even whatever this is, ½ inch tape line. And I've seen people bring the when you paint it black from the inside to actually bring it up more. Almost looks like a car windshield. And I think I'm gonna do that too, just so there's no chance of seeing any of this next to it. So I'll probably bring it out a little bit. All right, got some thinking to do. I think I'll end the video here. We'll see. Ugh. I know my co-pilot's ready to go home, right? But as far as the weather goes, absolutely beautiful. This airport has been non-stop flying all day. We got 77. I think it hit a high of, I don't know, maybe it went into the 80s. Gorgeous. Another sweat weather. So anyway, thank you for watching. Happy building. Remember, this is just me doing it, no instructions. And hopefully the next video will be painting the inside of the windshield, and then we'll glue it in. Literally a few things left. We gotta mount these things, those end caps here. Not sure if I'm going to use those, or maybe look into the Aerosport ones. I've talked to George about that, but getting close. All right, see ya.